But if you have questions, please type them in the question box and we will get to them at the appropriate time. Thanks, and Lisa, you can take it away.
Thank you so much. I am bringing up, hello, for everybody who doesn't know me, my name is Lisa Giesenbauer, and I am the president of Evolution Marketing. Can you all see, Stephanie, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. What I'm going to tell you guys about this morning is the Evolution Marketing Leaf story. So our story, data, and fun energy facts. Last June, I was the first business in the state of Wisconsin to get the all-electric Nissan Leaf. As you can see on the screen, there's a picture of my car, zero emission on the side, and then we've branded it with the business's logo. I was on the wait list for over 2 years to get the Leaf. You may say, well, why would a green marketing company want to buy a Leaf? Well, here I'm going to share with you the case study for what I put together for the rationale for why we purchased the Leaf. So between January 1st in 2008 to December 31st of 2011, Evolution Marketing vehicles drove about 26,865 miles. So it's approximately 6,700 miles per year. We did the carbon calculations for that, and we generated about 10.5. They averaged 25 miles per gallon, and that was using eco-friendly driving techniques. The approximate cost for gas during that time period was about $3,072. So when you look at that, we were paying about 14 cents a mile. I think when you talk about alternative fuel vehicles, it's the best way to do it compared to gas cars is to break it down to a cents per mile. So my old car, 14 cents per mile, and I used the pricing here with $3.50 per gallon. So when I was looking at my 2012, how much I expected to pay for gasoline, I was looking at paying about $980 based on $3.50 a gallon. Then in June of last year, I got my Nissan Leaf. And before I had my Leaf, I wanted to understand what were the projected expenses for the vehicle. So this chart that you're seeing in front of you is based on projected miles driven. So this is according to Nissan, and Nissan nationally has said that the average Leaf owner will get 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. I will show you that I'm actually doing better than that with my car, but all of this data is based on the 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. And the price I used to generate the cost was what I live in the city of Oconomowoc, and so the business is paying 0.086 cents per kilowatt hour because we have a public power community, which is Oconomowoc Utility area, where you have We Energies. I think it's typically about 11 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour. When we purchase renewable energy in Oconomowoc, we pay a penny more a year. With renewable energy, it would be $228. And based on my experience with my vehicle, I drove about 7,000 miles a year. So I was really interested. Again, I'm a small business. Majority of my clients within a 30-mile radius. So for me, 7,000 miles is a good number to use. But as you can see, prices as the price goes up with the numbers, it's about 20 to 25% of the overall cost of gas is what you'll be paying for electricity. Based on my Leaf made many trips to other events, and as you can see, my Nissan Leaf is plugged in here at Discovery World. Now, my data did not take into account the opportunities to charge my Leaf for free. Currently, there are, I want to say it's over 50 charging stations in southeastern Wisconsin between Milwaukee and Madison. That's about to have electric charging stations. So with that said, I don't pay for charging at any of those locations, so not paying for charging was not taken into account here. So everything, all of my equations are based on what I actually would be paying. Okay, so now you say, well, why does the Leaf make sense? So the reason why the Leaf makes sense for our business is that the majority of our clients are within a 30-mile radius. While driving in eco mode, the Leaf has multiple settings. So you can drive in drive mode, you can drive in eco mode. I think most of the cars nowadays have eco mode. Well, eco mode is just a more efficient way of driving, and with that, I've been able to actually get over 120 miles. I can get up to 140 if I'm driving in eco mode. Let's see, I normally drive about 7,000 miles a year, and it made more sense for me to purchase renewable energy from my local electric company versus taking and putting solar panels over the roof because that was not cost prohibitive. Solar panel to charge the Leaf. Okay, and decorating the Leaf was a great advertising opportunity for us. Here's the actual energy use data from June of last year through December 31st of last year. During last fall into early winter, it was relatively warm out. So what that means is we did not have a lot of days where it was freezing, and that will become relevant slides. So as you can see, each month I have the total amount of, what does that mean? Well, the percentage of energy regenerated means that as I'm operating the Nissan Leaf, the car has multiple ways that it regenerates its own energy. So therefore, I don't need to purchase 100 points of energy. I actually only purchased 79.5 kilowatt hours of energy. Of that less money based on the energy that's needed because the car regenerates itself. Now, when you look at the energy regeneration numbers, you'll notice that as it gets colder in November and December, the energy regeneration side, and I also believe the amount of friction on the road, because once you get into know per month, broken out for the energy type, for what I paid for, the energy, and you'll see how much CO2, with understanding how much CO2 does not go into the atmosphere by driving a Nissan Leaf, is a positive benefit of my operations. The biggest carbon user for my small business was my vehicle, or vehicles over the years. So by replacing a non-zero emission vehicle with a zero emission vehicle, I was able to cut my carbon footprint down by 80 to 90%. So if you look, here's the other interesting thing about this used for the average 1,000 100% renewable energy from Oconomowoc Utilities cost me basically $100 to go 4,582 miles. That in and of itself is a fantastic statistic, and it's based on real data, and that equates to less than 2 cents a mile. If you see, here's another picture of my car, top car. My car is at the American Family Insurance last year in December. And then below is a picture from an Odyssey event that was held last year at Discovery World. And that's me talking with a crowd of folks from Clean Cities and from other organizations in the state. So if you compare now, the earlier chart we had looked at was what anticipated cost for the car was. That's on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, my actual energy use data. So I used the national average, so that's 3,500 miles driven. The amount of kilowatt hours expected to be purchased. The expense was about $114.05, and that's getting 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Well, if you look at my actual energy use data, I went 1,000 miles more, and I averaged, this is again June through December of last year, 4.38 miles per kilowatt hour. So I think it's great that Nissan has the number of 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour out there, and I'm sure that that probably is the average across all the different Nissan Leafs in the country. But if you're a conscientious, eco-friendly driver, you're going to get a much higher rate, like mine, the 4.38 miles per kilowatt hour. One of the big things that people ask me a lot about is how does the Nissan Leaf perform in the wintertime? Here's actually the data from this past year. So this is January through April 21st, 2013. During that time period, I drove approximately 1,800 miles. I purchased 513 kilowatts of energy at the 9.6 cents, so remember, 100% renewable energy from Oconomowoc Utilities, and the expense for electricity was about $50. That equated to 2.7 cents per mile, and my average number for miles per kilowatt hour went down to 3.5, which 3.4 is the Nissan average. So if you think about it, in the middle of winter, when the roads are wet, they're coated in slush and snow and sleet, that's going to decrease your performance of your vehicle. So even with my vehicle performance decreasing, it's still above the national average. So here are my thoughts. If during the winter months, the energy economy for the Leaf decreases to 3.4 or 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, a business case still exists for the electric vehicle. Remember, my old vehicle, I was paying 14 cents a mile. And again, that was using eco-friendly driving techniques. I'm guessing that the average person who's going 80 down the expressway is not using eco-friendly driving techniques. So they're maybe paying 20 to 30 cents a mile for their vehicle because they're going faster on the expressway versus 2 cents a mile for driving the Nissan Leaf, or 2.7 cents for the middle of winter. The other thing that's very nice is I no longer need to purchase carbon offsets because the vehicle is zero emission. The other thing that's not taken into this equation is what is the yearly upkeep for a gas car. You have to pay for oil changes. You have to pay for other things associated with the maintenance and care of that car. With the electric car, the only maintenance that there is a tire rotation, which is actually included in the price of my Leaf, for my lease. Now, what you see before you is one of my last slides. This covers January through September. So it's kind of interesting to look at this data. So this is basically all of this year up until September 25th. You can see that I have the average miles driven per month, and you can see how it increases. Like when you get to June, it's 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour. Again, great weather outside. Okay, so the temperature outside will impact the car, but I don't think it's in the same way that most people think temperature impacts alternative fuel vehicles. The other thing is you will see, now the reason I have some missing data here is each month I can download this data from Nissan, but I have to download it in a timely manner. And if I forgot to download it that month, the data is missing, so that's my bad. But you can see, though, how much kilowatt hours were consumed. You can see the expense and the CO2 not generated. So the average, though, monthly average is 4 miles per kilowatt hour from January through September. Okay, the miles driven on average is about 500 miles, and the energy purchased on average is about 122 kilowatt hours, which equates to about $11.73 a month. So again, if you drive more, of course you're going to be paying more, but for my small business, these are great numbers. Takeaway message. The average cost is 2.4 cents a mile, and this includes the winter data. The average miles per kilowatt hour is 4 versus 3.4, which is the national average. And what's I think very interesting is to see that in 2013, we drove about 4,428 miles. 2012, it was 4,548 miles. So basically about 9,000 miles, and it cost us about $207 to do that with the electric car, versus I was projected to pay about $1,000 last year for driving in a gas car. So to me, there is a definite cost-benefit analysis. You know, this is a smart business decision. Plus, there are other reasons why. Again, because I own a green business and it's a green environmental communications firm, having a car decorated, you know, I'm practicing what I preach. So here's a picture of my Leaf and myself with some other zero-emission vehicle folks in Madison last year at American Family Insurance. I will now take any questions.
We did have one question, Lisa, from Jerry. He's asked if you did a similar pre-purchase calculation for any other type of alternative fuel vehicle, for example, like the Toyota Prius.
Oh, great question. And I did. I looked at the time, I looked at the Chevy Volt, the Toyota Prius. I think those are the only two I looked at. The Volt, for the price, I'm not knocking the Volt in any way, it wasn't a good fit for my needs. Because the majority of my clients are within a 30-mile radius, the Leaf was a much better option. Typically, if you're driving further distances away, the Volt would be a better option for you because it takes a while for your car to get heated up, and so then it becomes more efficient if you have a gas engine. With the Leaf, because I'm not driving far away, I don't need to worry about it getting heated up. So my efficiency is better with an all-electric versus a hybrid electric. Same thing with the Prius. Does that make sense?
Yes. Any other questions for Lisa? I don't see any other questions coming in. If anybody thinks of any questions for Lisa, please just type them in the question box, and she will get to them either at the end of the presentation, or I will make sure that I email her the information that you have. And any last thoughts, Lisa, or I'm going to pass it over to Rich?
No, I think the biggest thing to remember is whatever alternative fuel vehicle you or your business is thinking about purchasing, you really should put some time into doing a business case study for it and do some research into the vehicle, because different types of businesses have different needs. So we haven't talked at all about CNG, but I think there's lots of other fantastic options, whether it's propane, CNG, biofuels. There's just a lot of options that exist, and I think as business owners, we should really put the time into doing the research, because if we do the research, we'll be really happy with the vehicle once we've made the decision to purchase it.
Great advice, Lisa. Thank you for being such a great advocate for this.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And thank you, Lisa. We're going to pass it over to Rich right now, and Rich with GM, you can take it away.
Can everyone see my screen? I didn't see the passover. You still there?
Passing it over now. I apologize.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect. We can see it.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Rich Gunther. I work for General Motors. I'm a district manager for commercial government and alternative fuels, kind of a subject matter on the alternative fuels. And obviously, we're here to talk about electric vehicles. And I like the end of the conversation earlier. At GM, we don't think there is a silver bullet, at least not at this time. So we kind of play in everything. CNG was mentioned, propane, mostly in trucks we do that. We just announced yesterday we're going to do a CNG Impala, for an example, biofuel Impala. But we do play in electrics as well. And I'd like to roll forward this to give you a feel for what we do offer and some discussion about it. Obviously, the one that's probably got the most notoriety, both good and bad, it was used as a political football early on, was the Chevrolet Bolt, and during the elections. But it's been really good for us. And I'll say right up front, the the biggest issue with electric vehicles is the price of the batteries. We need to make another leap, and we're working on it, to get the cost of the lithium-ion batteries down, as well as in some of the production. If we could, and we're working on it, we can get that down. That will take the price down of, example, a Volt or the Leaf or our Spark, is we have a full electric as well. But that's where we're headed, and as one option. One of the big issues, obviously, is infrastructure. It was good to hear that number that she talked about in southeast Wisconsin. Unfortunately, we don't see that all over the country. So you need to have a good plug-in area. Obviously, the best places would be in urban areas where probably the pollution is the most concentrated and the less need for long driving. But then parking structures and those kind of things for apartment dwellers and that are relatively slow to pick up, although in some movement. What we can tell you about the Volt is we've actually lowered the price. I'm not sure we're making money doing it, but we've lowered the price, and we've seen the sales increase. Oh, and one major thing we know about it, after surveying the customers after they had their vehicles, it was the most satisfied customers, the biggest repurchase rate of any vehicle in history, not just electric vehicles, but all vehicles. So we've had a lot of success with it. Those that buy them love them. Probably the biggest deterrent from people buying a lot of them is the upfront cost. But it addresses two issues that are because of Industry 5, and we've tweaked it some. It's a little better than that now, probably about 40 miles on pure electric, as Lisa mentioned earlier. But that's down about 30%. We run, to talk about a little bit versus maybe a hybrid, is because the engine and the speed that it runs at has nothing to do with the actual forward motion or speed of the vehicle. So just to give you, the engine could be running at only 600 RPMs because the battery has maintained a pretty good charge. You've got some regenerative braking and those kind of things. Or you could be doing 15 miles an hour in a school zone, and the engine could be running at 1,500 RPMs. It all is relative. It's not where your foot is on the pedal, but to where the battery charge is. And so that's how that works. And then it can still run. The interesting thing about it is we still get performance. You can see here the top speed and the foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60 times. It's fun to drive. It's just not, it's not fuel economy for those folks. Probably the average that we see for people that drive over 40 miles round trip, use it on the weekends, is somewhere around 65 miles per gallon. We're able to, with their permission, go out and track through OnStar and so forth what the average mileage has been, how often they fill up. We have a lot of folks out there that go 2 or 3 months at a time without having to put fuel in a tank. Again, but at the same time, then you're able to use that vehicle to go on long trips across country, things that would be limited and would require you to maybe purchase a second vehicle for other use. So that was our drive behind it originally. And these figures that you see here are very close to what Lisa was talking about. It's a little dated, but we were using $3 to $4 a gallon gasoline, but you can see it's right around 3 cents a mile is what our experience has been so far. Just to say that we're not going to get out of the electric vehicle business. We just announced that we're going to have the Cadillac ELR, basically a luxury version of the Volt, if you will, and same powertrain that the Volt uses, probably upgraded, but obviously with the lushness and fanciness that you get with a Cadillac. So for those that want to be green but still want to have all the luxuries, we're going to be able to do that as well. One other thing that this is select, and we say this is, we do have an all EV, a straight electric vehicle like the Leaf, called the Spark. We're doing it mostly on the West Coast and East Coast, and it has a range of around 100 miles, somewhere in there. It'd be similar to what the Leaf in size and so forth, but currently only on the West and East Coast. We are prepared to move that up as demand dictates and sell it around the rest of the country, but we haven't seen that kind of a demand yet as we move forward, and if that should happen, we're capable of moving that up. And the only other one thing I would want to say is the 123 systems was purchased by Johnson Controls, a local Wisconsin company, so the battery packs are now coming from Johnson Controls. That's basically all I have. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions at the end. Thanks.
Thanks, Rich. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Scott with Toyota, and then any questions that anybody has at the end, we will answer those.
Thank you. I just clicked the button, so I'm waiting for my screen to come up.
Yep, and we can all see
You
it.
got it? Okay.
Yep. Thanks.
I'll start the slideshow. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Scott Kalina. I've been with West selling commercial vehicles, and one of the greatest changes in the company was the introduction of hybrid vehicles. So as I go through, again, if you have any questions, there'll certainly be time at the end. We used to get a lot of questions on what exactly hybrid vehicles were. It's actually pretty old technology. If you think a lot of diesel-electric locomotives pulling freight around the country for years were, for all intents and purposes, hybrid vehicles. What a hybrid system is two power sources working in parallel to power the vehicle. So in the case of a Prius, there's a gas engine and an electric motor. The electric motor is very torquey. Electric motors are good at getting things in motion, but not so good at keeping things in motion. Gas engines are the opposite. They're really not good at getting something in motion, but when something is moving, they're really good at keeping it moving. So what to vastly simplify it in a hybrid electric system in our Prius, generally the gas motor will shut off at a light, saving you fuel and carbon emissions. The electric motor will initially power the vehicle off the line and then assist the gas engine as the vehicle comes up to speed. As the vehicle comes up to speed, the gas engine will take over. The electric motor will shut down. Although it's highway passing or going up hills, the electric motor will provide a little extra oomph to the gas engine. And then when you coast or brake, the system captures the kinetic energy to recharge the battery. So really, it's the best of both worlds. And I apologize, I'm not sure how to advance the screen. Let's see if this will work. There we go. Okay. Toyota has 11 hybrids in service between our Toyota and Lexus divisions, and sales of our hybrids globally since 1997 has resulted in savings of 26 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions from entering the atmosphere. Excuse me just a second. There we go. That's the equivalent of keeping 4.8 million cars off the road. In addition, we're taking a portfolio approach to our environmentally advanced vehicles and offering a variety of alternative fuel choices, including plug-in hybrids, electric vehicles. We have a RAV4 all-electric vehicle that's currently being sold in the state of California only. And in 2015, we'll be introducing a fuel cell hybrid vehicle. The fuel cell hybrid will run on hydrogen, emit water as a byproduct, be slightly smaller than a Camry sedan, and the vehicle will be launched at the Toyota Auto Show coming up next month in November. Our goal is to create a variety of vehicles for the future that can run on gas or other fuels, and then let you, the consumer, decide what works best for you, whether that be a hybrid, a hydrogen vehicle, an all-electric vehicle, or a fuel cell vehicle. Because of the heart of those choices, we strongly believe that hybrids will remain Toyota's core technology. That's because our hybrid system can easily be adapted to other powertrains to further conserve energy. For example, hybrids can be teamed with larger batteries to increase the range of the plug-in models. So Toyota is fully committed to hybrid technology. Toyota plans on launching 20 new or redesigned hybrids globally by the end of next year. That's part of our company's global vision to build better products that respect the planet and help enrich lives around the world. The Camry, which is the best-selling car in America, is available as a hybrid. It's the same great Camry built in America. Camry is the benchmark for non-luxury passenger cars, the highest volume car in the segment where 1 of 5 vehicles are sold each year. Camry has been the fabric of America since we introduced it in the mid-'80s, and there are 7 million Toyota owners that love their Camrys. Among the awards earned by this vehicle, there's a 5-star safety rating, a 2013 IIHS top safety pick, the most American car on the road for the last 4 years by Cars.com, best bet, again, from Cars.com, and the Camry Hybrid is Consumer Reports' top-rated recommended sedan. Some notes on the Camry Hybrid. It's 200 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds. The LE version gets 41 miles per gallon total combined. The XLE is 40 miles per gallon. And all Camry Hybrids are built at our plant in Georgetown, Kentucky, just north of Lexington. Next, I'll touch on the Prius. 12 years ago, we introduced the Prius, and that's given rise to an entire industry of advanced technology products. And 2.8 million vehicles later, it's still the #1 hybrid in the U.S. and the world. Its success is not just measured in the sales numbers. Prius has saved $3.8 billion, 1.4 billion gallons of gasoline, and 20 million tons of CO2. It's good for our customers, their budgets, the environment, and conservation of our natural resources. When we launched the Prius 12 years ago, many skeptics questioned the reliability of the hybrid powertrain. Well, with over 1 million Prius sold in the last 12 years, it is reliable, and the battery packs rarely need to be replaced. More importantly, we've listened to our customers and created a Prius family of products, the V, the C, the Prius plug-in. We've got a Prius to fit every need, big, small, regular, and advanced. The Prius liftback is stretched about 3 inches, and the Prius liftback, I apologize, is the original Prius, 50 miles per gallon combined, an IIH top safety pick, IntelliChoice best overall value passenger car 11 years in a row. The Prius V is a Prius of increased size. It has the highest MPG of any SUV, crossover utility vehicle, or wagon. It's again an IIH top safety pick. IntelliChoice best overall value. It's stretched 3 inches from a regular Prius. The roof is raised and carries about 60% more cargo space. The Prius C is a compact, smaller than a regular Prius, the highest MPG of any vehicle, and it's really provided utility to consumers in more urban environments. The Prius plug-in is currently only sold in ZEV states, electric mode, and much in the same way as the Volt, no range anxiety because the full hybrid system, full electric, is depleted. In 2012, Toyota launched a revised vehicle. The Avalon Hybrid offers a best-in-class MPG of 40 miles per gallon in the full-size segment, and the luxury that drivers in that segment have come to expect. Additionally, for 2014, we will continue. We've totally redesigned the Highlander, including the hybrid version. The redesigned Highlander offers upgraded materials throughout, both inside and outside. Smart storage has been included. Significantly more capacity both for passengers and cargo. Most importantly, we've moved Highlander hybrid production from Japan to our plant in Princeton, Indiana. So all the hybrids, with the exception of the Prius family, are built in North America, including the Camry, the Avalon, and the Highlander hybrid. And all right, and that's the conclusion. Thank you, and I'd be available for questions now.
Scott, there was one question. Lisa
Yes.
was wondering, when will the plug-in hybrid electric Prius be available in Wisconsin for purchase?
That's undetermined at this point. As I said, it's the Prius plug-in is currently only sold in ZEV states, so that's primarily California and the Northeast. It's under discussion, but at this point, it's only sold in the ZEV states, and we haven't made a decision to bring. It'll be well publicized both through our advertising and in the media.
I don't see any other questions as of yet. Oh, 1 second. Chris has a question. Where can you test drive a Nissan Leaf, Chevy Volt, neighborhood electric vehicle, and Honda Accord plug-in at one location? I'm not sure that there is one location. I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts on that.
No, there's not one location. You're going to have to go to different dealerships. So you could go to any of the Nissan dealerships for the Leaf, Chevy dealerships for the Chevy, and then you're talking about NEVs. There's a couple different ones that exist out there. I think Columbia Park Car is one, and I know there's dealerships in southeastern Wisconsin that have them.
Thanks, Lisa. Any other questions? If you don't have any other questions right now, the presentation will be made available afterwards. And Honda Motor Works in La Crosse has all of these vehicles in stock. That's what Chris said. So I guess you can go there to test drive all of them. But any other questions can be directed towards each individual speaker, or if you wanted to email our info@wicleancities.org, and then we can forward it to the appropriate party. But again, this will be made available on our website under events. Then you click on past events, and you can view all of the presentations and the recorded webinar. And if you have any questions, again, info@wicleancities.org, or give our office a call at 414-221-4487. And I want to thank you all again for attending today's webinar. And thanks, and have a great day. Thank you all for speaking.